Trapmore gang, I'm back with another video. Excuse my skincare, I'm breaking out right now. But I have been waiting a few days to give you guys a massive update on this Durk case, and there's some good stuff to tell you, and there's some bad stuff to tell you, because there are some things, as I've said before, that make me feel like Lil Durk might actually be cooked, but we're also hearing a couple of things that does make me doubt the prosecution's case, and it does make me think that if certain things aren't handled the right way, we might actually be seeing Durk be free, okay? You can say that I'm biased, you can say I'm a hater, whatever you want, but the one thing that you can't say that I don't do is keep it very real with you guys. So, it pains me to say it, okay? And it pains me to bring this clip up again, okay? But this is a throwback clip that has been around for a very, very long time, okay? Now, there's been long-running rumors that there was a bounty on Quando Rondo, that the Slide for Von campaign, this basically very public campaign, pressuring Lil Durk to slide, get revenge, and kill in response to what happened to King Von at the hands of Quando Rondo's friend Lil Tim. Basically, there'd been this rumor that there'd been $1 million on his head, and there'd been a bunch of lyrics, there's been a bunch of references, it's been crazy. Now, shout out to my guy Brick Baby, I don't want to put Brick Baby in no problems, but, okay, this clip is pretty iconic, this is one of the most famous clips in this whole situation, and there'd been long-running rumors that indeed, okay, the murder of Lil Pab basically was sliding for Von. It was the revenge for King Von, and it was basically stamped by certain people, Brick Baby being one of them, who basically came out to say, and I don't think this is Brick Baby snitch, I don't think this is him saying too much. I think everyone and their mother basically thought, yeah, what happened to Quando Rondo and Lil Pab in LA was revenge for King Von. I think it was clear as day as to anyone with a brain, really, that is what had gone on. But let me just refresh your memory and show you this, because this was one of the first people who actually said the quiet part out loud, with Brick Baby basically saying, yeah, after what happened to Lil Pab, you can't really tell Durk to slide for Von no more. So once that shooting went down and Lil Pab lost his life, a lot of people did feel like, yeah, ain't no more slide for Von. Von's been slid for, okay? And I'm not saying that to be flippant or to disregard what really happened, but when that happened, even though Quando is still alive, they said, well, we got one of his guys, you know, he got one of our guys, it is what it is. Now, here's the funny thing, okay? There basically has been a whole bunch of references from Quando Rondo's side of $1 million bounty, okay? This is $1 Million Kid. All right, this is one of several songs where Quando Rondo appeared to reference essentially $1 million bounty being put on his head. This came out on November the 25th, 2022. It was on the 3860 album, which is the joint album between Quando and Youngboy. Notable album for the first song, I Swear, featuring Lil Tim, the person who actually killed King Von. And to me, the concept of this song is essentially Quando saying $1 million check, $1 million dude, $1 million beef, $1 million hitter, $1 million streets, $1 million system. He's talking about how many millions he's made in the streets, but he's also making reference to the fact that basically if you see this here, it says, Quando Rondo is mocking his ops, saying that he isn't dead, even though they put $1 million on his head. How many steps that's to $1 million N-word? The number one question, that's the little homies in the trenches. Basically, I lost my cousin to the street stuff, others to the prison. This was a song basically saying he had $1 million on his head, okay? Quando said, top, send me $1 million, forever hold him down. So, look, Youngboy was sending him their $1 million checks too. And then there was, of course, also this song, End of Story, which was essentially the response to King Von's death. It's called End of Story as a reference to King Von's series of songs, Crazy Story. And on this song, this had a very early reference. This is less than a month after King Von died, and on this song, Quando Rondo essentially admits that he already knew that there was $1 million on his head. This is a lyric that says, million on my head, that's what they say, that's all you got, bitch, make it 8. So he knew within a month that there was $1 million hit on his head after the murder, well, not murder, it was a self-defense killing, of King Von, okay? He says that's what they say, $1 million on his head. He refers to the alleged rumors that Lil Durk put $1 million hit on his head. So everybody knew this. Everybody knew that Lil Durk had put $1 million hit on his head, okay? That had been out there, that had been going around a whole lot of time. But now it's on the prosecution to actually prove that that was the case. Do they have any proof of this? This isn't actually proof of it. As much as people say, Ross, you're the feds, you be putting all this shit on people. This is definitely conjecture to say that there was a rumor that there was $1 million bounty on Quando's head. It hadn't even been a month since King Von died. But we're going to need to see the feds actually put some proof together. Now, interestingly, during a 2024 interview with DJ Vlad, Lil Tim actually publicly confirmed the rumored $1 million bounty had been placed on both his and Quando Rondo's heads. So again, this isn't necessarily proof of Durk sending a text message saying we got $1 million on their heads, but this is proof that basically even the guys with the money on their head acknowledge, yeah, that's a real thing. We really had $1 million on our heads, so look at this. So this is really interesting, right? Because what it really calls to is it's like even Lil Tim's acknowledging when it was on, it was on. It was like try your luck. We knew that there was $1 million on our head. Vlad's talking about word was there was $1 million on each of your heads. That end of story song was 20th of November 2020, less than a month after King Von died. It was obvious, it was going around the industry. Everybody knew that there was this $1 million bounty circulating, okay? This seems like it was a real thing. People want to say it's cap. The feds need to prove it. This is a difficult thing. Now the feds are basically saying it's official. So I'm going to show you the paperwork. So this is the official paperwork. I've got it for you guys here, okay? And essentially, this is just some paperwork basically where the federal prosecutors are now opposing Lil Durk's request for a bill of particulars, and they basically don't want to provide any more information than they already have to basically explain the existence of this $1 million bounty. Now, what's really interesting, okay, is they're basically explaining that it was. I think now we've heard sort of quite ambiguous rumors of a bounty, but this is the first time that we're actually hearing even the feds backing up this claim of a full-blown $1 million bounty. And as this says, it says here, the detailed superseding indictment, together with the government's substantial and organized discovery, obviates the need for a bill of particulars because they provide clear notice to defendants of the government's murder for hire theory. The government's alleged and its discovery clearly supports the straightforward theory that defendant Banks, which is Durk, told co-conspirators he would reward anyone that helped kill his rival Quando Rondo, that defendant Banks and other OTF conspirators attempt to murder Bowman in Los Angeles on 18th of August 2022, and that even though the co-conspirators killed Lil Pab, not Quando, defendant Banks nonetheless rewarded co-conspirators by, among other things, featuring many of the direct participants in the murder in music videos and rap lyrics in the months following the murder. For example, the government anticipates that a cooperating witness will testify that Durk made it clear that to the witnesses and other OTF members that anyone who killed Quando would be made straight, i.e. handsomely rewarded. And there's a big caveat here. And it says Durk's use of coded language to make anyone who killed Bowman straight to communicate the bounty plainly satisfies the quid pro quo requirement of the murder for hire statute. And what's interesting here is they're basically going to end up saying that, look, you put $1 million up to have Quando killed, you ended up killing Lil Pab, and you gave people grills, you gave people things of value. You don't need to give them the $1 million. He said in his song, I don't want the N-word that you got, I want the one I paid for, but he's still out here rewarding dudes with lucrative music career opportunities, grills, things of value, jewelry. It doesn't matter that you didn't give the $1 million, and a lot of people are butthurt over that, but the fact is, they made a promise, they got a job done, it wasn't you didn't kill the right person, you ain't getting the $1 million, but you still did a murder for hire. You were hired to do a murder, it didn't go the way you want. You can't just say, oh, well, we got the wrong person, it's all good, and he didn't give him $1 million, he only gave him a grill. It's all good, it's all fine, this is just allowed. It's not possible, okay? So they give some case law here. And it basically says the words as consideration for don't strictly import contract law, but instead require a clear mutual agreement between the solicitor and the hitman for payment in exchange for the murder. The nature, breadth, and context of the defendant Banks' promise includes downstream economic benefits to the co-conspirators that they received following the murder. Indeed, the statutory language of the section sweeps in anything of value which the primary significance is economic advantage. So they're basically saying if you could have bought him a Chipotle bowl, all right? You could have said, look, you didn't get the one I wanted. You didn't kill the guy that I wanted, but I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna make sure that you're straight. I'm gonna get you a tray of chicken tacos. As ridiculous as that sounds, you are giving things in reward. If you're rewarding the guy just because he's hungry, just because he's your homeboy, that's fine. But if you're basically saying, look, you really put in work in these streets, I'm going to reward you with a bowl of Chipotle. Yes, you're like, that is murder for hire. You made him straight because of you did X, I'm going to do Y. This broadly applies to currency, drugs, weapons, or anything else that has quantifiable monetary value. You can gift the guy a gun. If you're doing it because he got busy in the streets, that is a murder for hire. Okay, and it basically says that a properly instructed jury that not only money, but also drugs, guns, or involvement in future crimes, which would yield cash profits. You can say, I'm going to put you on another hit. You've proven yourself. I'm going to put you on another big hit to go and kill Quando a second time. That's a murder for hire. You're giving him an opportunity. It can also constitute consideration. For that reason, Durk's contention that the grills rewarded to certain co-conspirators fall outside of the superseding indictment's allegations are meritless, as the superseding indictment and discovery puts defendants on more than adequate notice of the rewards, including payments covering jewelry that defendant Banks gave to the hitmen to make them straight following the murder. Anything that you gave them in response to that murder as a reward, I'm sorry, that's putting you on the hook for murder for hire. Now, We're going to need to see proof. We're going to need to see people got grills. We're going to need to see some proof that the reason people got grills is because they were involved in that hit. Now, let's get back to this. It says the discovery also shows that Durk used his trusted lieutenants, Wilson and co-conspirator 5, to recruit the hitmen to fly to California on August the 18th to kill Quando, consistent with defendant Banks' promise to reward co-conspirators. Defendant Wilson solicited hitmen by promising to pay $1 million reward on behalf of Durk in exchange for flying to LA to commit the murder. If they can prove that this was a promise that was made, we're going to give you $1 million to fly to LA to commit murder. Remember when Durk rapped that money make them killers pop outside that you ain't seen before? If Durk didn't know these guys from a can of paint and he's enticed them through an intermediary to go and commit murder for hire, and then suddenly Durk's buying guys that he'd never heard of, that money make you them demons you ain't seen before. If Durk ain't seen these fools before, and next thing you know, they try and commit a murder and it goes left, but they get something out of it, and then he starts buying dudes grills that he didn't know, you're on the hook for murder for hire. I'm really sorry. I know that's going to disappoint a lot of people, but it is what it is. It says, moreover, the government's disclosed a list of defendants, Banks and OTF's, defendant Banks and OTF's music videos in which defendants Wilson, Houston, and others were involved in the murder are prominently featured following Lil Pab's death. Okay, unfortunately, that does mean that Durk, if you weren't hanging around with these guys before and they were promised $1 million to go and do a hit, and they went and did a hit, and it didn't quite go how they wanted, and you had them in a music video, if they can prove. Okay, the $1 million doesn't need to be transferred. If they can just prove that you were showing him love, even it could be as simple as an iMessage text thread just saying like, yeah, he a real stepper, make sure he's in the video. Make sure this person is included in the shoot because he a real one. You're going to be on the hook for murder for hire. It's very unfortunate, okay? So people saying you think Durk's cooked after this news came out a couple of days ago. Saying $1 million in your head, dudes will travel to the moon. It doesn't matter where you go. And it says at that price, you're hiring professionals, not street dudes. And they're saying people just got professional killers in the Rolodex. Now, this is going to be an interesting comment. I'm going to read this because this actually it says, it also was $100K at first, then $250. And they're saying that Dee Dee was the one who was telling people $1 million and Durk offered features and music video time. They're saying that's why he released Loyal Bros 2 and Nightmare in the Trenches. I agree with that. And they said that there's videos of the payment and took that all back once the judge said the feds have to give his lawyers discovery and theories so they know what to defend. All they did was send out Durk's entire catalog of songs and said that's the evidence, and the judge said they had to point out which exact lyrics from songs they'd be using, and the feds never responded to his lawyers in time. So they're arguing to throw out any song lyrics and listen 40 cases where it's not been allowed. Dee Dee and Durk filed these motions together, decision on February the 9th, but so far they've put him back in the SHU for the Apple Watch, even though another inmate had one and got out 5 days later, and he still has a shaved head, and his lawyers filed a cruel and unusual punishment motion because of how much weight he's lost. They said they didn't find anything on his iCloud or Twitter. That's not true. They just said that they don't need to use them because they've got the information from somebody else's perspective, so this person doesn't know what they're talking about. So it's just a business Instagram and him saying don't use the OTF cards. They got more than that. They said CC3 will testify. Durk said he would promote the killers, but they didn't even kill the right person, so why would he pay it out? I don't want the N-words that I got. I want the ones you paid for. This is why this is dumb. Because a lot of people think, oh, well, they didn't do it, so it's fine. You can't go around. If I just put up a bounty on somebody I don't like, and you go over there and you just shoot the whole block up and 2-3 kids get killed, that's not, oh, well, you're allowed to kill kids because it wasn't the person you went for and no one got the $1 million. No, you are a danger to society. You have to go away. It says Durk's team said feds held back any discovery on Vonnie, but from what they've seen from group chats and witnesses, they plan on calling even his own father Vonnie as a manipulator, liar, and scheming, will do anything to get ahead of an MF, and how only him and Von had keys to Von's safety deposit box. They're saying he took money from Von's bank account and emptied it. He had $4 million in his bank account, but his state taxes said he didn't make 100K since Von died. Durk isn't cooked. They say CC3, but they all know it's Vonnie. Okay, so look, I disagree with some of that stuff. People saying the feds are playing dirty. They make it seem like they ain't got much till the trial starts. They're saying, bro, it's the carrots in a stew. Allegedly. I don't know, bro. Durk pretty much claimed it himself. Feds taking too much credit. That's facts. Saying you got to play it dumb till the wheels fall off when it comes to certain stuff, particularly cases he did manifest it and pretty much invited the feds to look into him, though. So it really depends on all the testimony and who it's coming from. I thought Thug was overcooked, but I think he could be straight if he didn't take a plea. Says he's cooked and he deserves to be cooked. He should have been a man and told Von, keep that extra shit away from me. Durk was good until Von came around. I don't know how y'all don't get it. Von was a crash out and y'all hopped right in with him with no seatbelt. That's actually a very, very level-headed comment. People saying Von's not to blame. Durk been putting bags on dudes' heads for years. Durk deserves it because he did it. Simple as that. So it seemed like they'd be more mad at Quando than Tim. That's true. And people saying, dude's ass is done. Everybody trying to keep coming up with different points. Bro, you got to face it. This man shit looked bad as hell. It says they have wiretaps along with that. If they have wiretaps along with what's already been made public, then yes. It says Didi and them should have gone to court earlier. They're asking to delay and push back, making the feds gather extra info to get 100% conviction. It says, you think they paid the shooters that amount for getting PAB or less? Plus, they didn't say the shooters got paid right after a restaurant. Would have paid $1 million to kill the guy who ain't even pulled the trigger. Ain't no way they're getting $1 million. Look, they're not getting no $1 million. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. But if anything, literally, if anything, even the In-N-Out burgers that they all met up and had after the hit took place, even that, to just say, well, look, I know you guys are hungry after doing a big hit. Let me get you this In-N-Out, and then we're gonna make sure that you straight after this. That might be enough. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that might be enough, bro. There are genuinely people in such dark, twisted corners of the world where people are so hungry they will do a murder for $2,000. They might do a murder for a hot meal. It's very, very sad. There are very, very dark situations that people are in all around the world, and it's just unfortunate that's the case. But anyway, look, I will keep you guys updated if I hear anything else. I just wanted to do a quick update on this because I'm very, very familiar and well-versed in this whole $1 million bounty theory. I've been talking about this for a long time. Quando was saying there's $1 million on his head less than a month after Von lost his life. So it is what it is. They just need to prove it. And I don't think it's going to be difficult for them to prove it. That's just my opinion. Okay, it might not be that serious. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'll be back with another video. I'm still traveling, but I am very, very excited to get you content. My skin is a mess. As you can see, I'm trying to take care of myself right now. And basically, I will be back within a week. I will be back in my usual setup, and I will be going absolutely ham with the videos. And I will also shock the world with some very interesting other stuff that you might not be expecting from me, but I'm really excited to show you guys. So appreciate it. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and I'm out here, gang. Peace.